This is Yokki and the Parno Gry, a picture book with illustrations by Marika Nellison. There once was a traveller boy called Yokki. He lived with his family in canvas tents. Yokki's grandfather Elijah loved buying and selling horses more than anything else. His grandma, the Parno Gry, was skilled at selling and respected for her wisdom. There was no work to be had in early spring, so the whole family made things ready to sell. Yokki's sister Serafina made the most beautiful paper flowers, and Yokki carved fine wooden spoons. "Time for us to move on," Yokki's dad would say when spring turned to summer. "Let's get packed up, Chavis." Mother would smile, excited to be moving again and following the old trading ways. Everywhere they stopped, Yokki's father mended pots and pans and sharpened tools and knives. Yokki loved to sell the spoons he'd made. It gave him a chance to talk to all sorts of people, travelling folkie and settled folkie, and to listen to their stories. In the late summer and autumn, the family picked fruit and vegetables for local farmers, saving money for the winter when work was scarce. The family would gather around the fire every night to tell stories. Everyone agreed that Yokki told the best tales. He would retell the stories that he'd heard from other people, mixing them and adding bits of his own. Every year they all looked forward to the horse fairs and other festivals. Serafina would swap her flowers for jewellery. Grandfather Elijah would buy and sell horses, chopping them for a good price. Best of all, the Parno Gry would lead them in the dancing each night. One year the summer was wet and the harvest was poor. Many of the crops just rotted in the ground. Even Farmer Tom had no work for them. "Sorry, but since we got these new machines, I don't need as many extra hands," he said. "Perhaps next year, if you learn to drive." "We needed that money," said Father. "How will we survive the winter without it?" "Let's move on," suggested Grandfather. "There'll be some work or trade in the next town." But when they reached their usual camping ground, they found it had been fenced off. Father looked grimly at Grandfather and Grandmother. "We can't stop here." The Parno Gry nodded. "We'll have to go on. It's not much, but I know a place of old where we can stop." The family finally set up camp late that night on a tiny patch of wasteland. They built a blazing fire and Yokki decided to tell a story from his dreams to cheer everyone up. He told of a Parno Gry, a powerful white horse who would fly into camp and take him away. "When I'm on the Parno Gry, I can see lands where fruit hangs heavy on the trees. There's plenty of work harvesting and everyone can eat their fill." Huddled in their blankets, everyone felt the warmth of the sun on their skin and they forgot their hunger. The patch of wasteland was bare and scruffy, but the family had nowhere else to go. For a while, Yokki's stories about the wonderful Parno Gry made them forget their troubles. But their lives got harder and harder as winter approached, and it was difficult to stay cheerful. The next day brought another disaster. "Bessie's limping," Serafina panted. "She's gone lame." This was bad news. Bessie was their best horse. "I'll take her to Father Tom," said Father. "He'll look after her for the price of her food. He's a good man." Every day of trading brought new disappointments. Hardly anyone wanted to buy their crafts. At the market, Auntie struggled to get a good price for the hens. "That's only half what they're worth," she cried, as someone tried to bargain with her. But she knew half was better than nothing. Grandfather Elijah had to sell the old goat Nancy and the carts. Father got a bad deal on the donkey. "I'm so sorry," he said. All they would have left were their tents, their 2 dogs, and Bessie, once she was better. The next night, as the family huddled together, Yokki's youngest cousin Mary pulled at his sleeve. "Take us far away. Tell us another story about the Parno Gry," she pleaded. Grandfather Elijah grew angry. "You are filling their heads with dreams of a made-up future," he shouted. "Tell te, Jib." Parno Gry told him to sit down. "Sometimes, dear ones, all we have are our dreams," she said. "They keep us going till the next opportunity appears. Tonight, all we have is Yokki's story. Let's enjoy it. In my dream, The Parno Gry came and we all climbed on its back. It soared beyond the clouds to a fine land. As we flew low, we saw a bustling market with folky like us selling strong handmade furniture and a great crowd of people buying their goods. With this hopeful image in their minds, everyone forgot their troubles and fell into a happy sleep. A cry woke the family. Yokki was shouting, "It's come! It's the Parno Gry!" Everyone ran outside. In front of them stood a huge white horse with steam coming out of its nostrils. Just as Yokki had dreamed, the Parno Gry flattened itself to the ground. The family hastily packed their tents and their few belongings they had left. All of them, along with their dogs, climbed onto the Parno's powerful back. Running faster and faster, the Parno Gry soared into the night sky. The adults were afraid, but the children looked down in wonder as the cold, dark land disappeared below them. After a while, the Parno Gry landed again. The air was cold, but the trees and rocks provided shelter, and a stream ran gently through a clearing. Some large fallen trees meant there would be plenty of firewood. There would be enough left over to make furniture too. "Let's get the tents up," said Yokki's father. "Javis, take a look around," Grandfather called. "See what else the land can provide." "Look, look!" Gentina had come across a wild garden with apples still hanging on the overgrown trees. Over here, Absalom had dug into the fine crumbly soil to find it full of buried treasure, potatoes. That evening they lit a fire and they danced for joy. They cooked the first good meal in a long time, and the delicious scent filled the air. The Parno Gry came over to Yokki. It was time for it to go. "We cannot thank you enough," Yokki said. He stroked the animal. "You have shown us a new and exciting future." Yokki whispered a final farewell. They all waved goodbye as the Parno Gry rose up and out of sight. To this day, generations of Yokki's family believe that as long as they value children's imaginations, the Parno Gry will inspire them with new ideas and possibilities, even in their darkest hours, just when they need them the most. The end.